All right, so you've got the township that can be easily identified. All right? So I call Paula, and I say, hey, Paula, I want you to pick me up for school tomorrow. You need to come get me. I live in 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south of Principal Meridian number 2. Can you find me? Now, I know I'm big, but please say no. No, because that's 36 square mile. So we have got to break this down further. So what I'm going to do on the board is draw and it blow up 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south, and all that is on the board, and for you at home, is a bigger picture of that township. And it's 36 square mile, right? So give me a second here. All right, we're good. I always get paranoid when I draw this. So I've taken this township and I have broken it up into 36 sections. It's called a section. Now, just to recap, how big is the township in square miles? 36. What a coincidence. I've broken it into 36 sections. So therefore, how big is each section? 1 square mile, all right? But we've got to identify them, so we got to number them. When we start the number, we're going to start in the upper right-hand corner, number 1. Why the upper right-hand corner? That's not how we read. Why the upper right-hand corner? There's really a logical reason, and if you just try not to outfool yourself, you can figure out why we started numbering in the upper right-hand corner. What year did we do this? 1785. It is hard to get people to show up to work on time, and these guys did the entire United States on foot. Now, it wasn't the same 2 guys, but it was a group of people that spent dozens of years doing this because they did it on foot. You guys know what a chain gang is, and I don't mean the prison one. Like football, where they stretch the yard marker out for a first down. That's what these guys were doing. They had one guy stand and he'd hold the stake. The other guy would pass by him. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. And he'd pull that chain taut and mark it. Then the first guy he'd move, pass by him. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. Boom. And he'd mark it. So they did this on foot. No roads, over the hills, around the trees, all of this. They were gone dozens of years. And we can't, it's hard to get people to work 40 hours, you know. How'd you like someone to come to you? I got a job for you. Why the upper right-hand corner? Come on. Thank you very much. Where did we land in the United States? In the upper right-hand corner, did we not? That's where the people were. So this meets and bounds worked great. And then all of a sudden, they found out that the rock we landed on was way bigger, so they came up with this method. So they started up in the upper right-hand corner, and it would certainly not make sense to walk all the way over to there and then measure back. So they started in the upper right-hand corner with number 1, and they just numbered them that way. Now, when they got to 6, because that's how wide it is, that's 6 miles, do you think they picked their stuff up and walked back to the other beginning again and started again? The word for the day is boustrophodonic. Try and slide that in sometime in a conversation today. Boustrophodonic means like an ox plow. And how do oxen plow fields? Serpentine. They start, go to the end, turn around, and go back. That's exactly what these guys did. So you start in the upper right-hand corner, go to 6. They turned around. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, turned around. Turned around. I love this when a plan comes together. Hopefully this will turn out right. They turned around. If we did this correctly, the last one's number is 36. Ta-da! So what you have are 36 sections inside of a township. All right? And the township is identified by the tier and the range, which is attached to a principal meridian. Now, here's something you have to just memorize. All right? The picture on the board is not drawn to scale. I didn't spend a whole bunch of time. But section 16 is the school section. This is where the schoolhouse set. Now, we're not talking about today. Remember, 1785. This is like Laura Ingalls' Little House on the Prairie type of school, where there's one school in every section. You guys heard the old joke, had to walk 3 miles to school? That's it. The furthest person walked 3 miles. Because if they lived in another section or another township, they went to that township schools, which we kind of still follow today. You live in Pike, you go to Pike Township Schools. You live in Washington, you go to Washington Township Schools. Same kind of concept, only these are geographic. So and if you look at 16 and can imagine it drawn correctly, put the little schoolhouse right there. It's virtually dead center of this township. That way all the kids had no more than 2 or 3 miles to walk to school, and they all went to that same school. All right? So I asked Paula to come get me, and I told her I was in 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south of Principal Meridian number 2. She said, well, that's way too big. I can't find you there. I said, okay, so I'm in section 23. Can you find me now? No. That's a mile square. You know? I know that I'm big. I was downtown the other day standing around, and a cop ran up to me and said, okay, break it up. I got on the scale at the gym, and it said 1 at a time. I told somebody losing weight was too hard. I'd just wear black. It makes you look thinner. And they said, you know, you're wearing the wrong shade of black then. I'm like, screw you, Mom. So we have 36 sections. I live in section 23. So what we're going to do now is blow up section 23. Section 23 is 1 mile by 1 mile. Here's something you will need to know. Store this in your permanent memory bank. 1 square mile is 640 acres. 640 acres. I am not sure if the exam gives you some of this, but there's going to be some measurements today that we're going to talk about that you guys better memorize. And you will probably, because this is the career you're going into. One of them is this one, 640 acres in a square mile. All right? So here's my section drawn up on the board, enlarged, but it's 1 mile by 1 mile, so she can't find me. So I've got to do something to this section. So we're going to take this section and divide it into 4 quadrants. First of all, how big is each quadrant? How many acres? I'll do the math for you to help you out. It's 160. All right? But we've got to identify them. So the 4 quadrants, that one up there would be the northeast quadrant, right? That makes this one the northwest quadrant, the southwest quadrant, and the southeast quadrant. There you go. There's your 4 quadrants. The northeast, the northwest, the southwest, the southeast. And that's 160 acres. Cool, right? Still too damn big. So what we're going to do is take each quadrant and divide it again. So in this northeast quadrant, which is 160 acres, I'm going to divide that quadrant into 4 quadrants. So how big are each one of these quadrants now? 40 acres. And if you think back to your history, remember the slavery reparations? 40 acres and a mule. That's why, because 40 acres is an actual legal division of land. It's a very easy to define a 40 acre. You ever heard the old farmers say, I got to plow the back 40? That's where this is coming from. So now we've got it down to 40 acres. But how do we identify each one of these quadrants? Well, this 40-acre quadrant is called what? It's the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant. All right, let me make sure I say that one more time, and I want to see everybody's eyes because I want to see if they're glazing over or they're getting it. That quadrant is the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant. Because down here, watch this. I've got the northeast quadrant of the southwest quadrant as well. And I've got the northeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant. And I've got a northeast quadrant of the northwest quadrant. Do what?
If you don't like math, you're not going to like this.
Well, if you see this, it becomes very simple. So we've got 40 acres. Paula, can you find me? No. Guess what? We're going to do it again. So we're going to take the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant and divide it into 4 quadrants itself. How big is that? You guys know the smallest parcel of land you can build without developing it? 10 acres. Because it's the smallest parcel of land that uses the government rectangular system. All right, before we hit the surprise, let me change this audio file one more time.